area. It is called 3FM. Time now to talk to my guests. Oh my God. Are you ready? Blakk Rasta music coming from Faisal Hell. One is BBD music. And this one is simply called By Maya, from the land of my birth. Oh my God have mercy. This is tradition. Are you ready? Now my guest is simply called David Bolton. In England, they will call him David Bolton William. In Ghana, he's David Kwamena Bolton. He has a beautiful story to tell us, my brother. A story of strife, a story of resilience, a story of passion, my brother, my sister. I listened to a bit of his story and I was convinced that my listeners would love to listen to him. David Kwamena Bolton. The first time I heard about David Kwamena Bolton was years back when we were told that there was this computer guru who was coming in to revolutionize the digital space of music in Ghana. My brother, my sister, the rest is history. And today we are reliving all these wonderful things. We will take a step into the future, my brother, my sister, and see exactly what it is. My God have mercy, I'm overexcited. David, thanks you so much for accepting to talk to us.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my God, and I'm most excited. Oh my God.
Me too.
All right, so David, walk us through your upbringing. When were you born? Where were you born? To which parents?
Okay, I'm an old man now. So, in fact, I'll be 51 this month.
Oh, just 51?
Yeah, on the 17th.
Just 51?
Well, it feels like a very long time. You know? But I was born in 1973 in London to a Scottish father and a Ghanaian mother.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And you were born in London?
Yes, I was born in London. My father, although he was Scottish, he moved to... My father was a character. I mean, that's a whole interview on its own, just the things he got up to. But at that time, he was a tailor. And he was a tailor in a psychiatric hospital. So he made all of the dresses for the patients and things.
Wow.
And my mother was a nurse in that same hospital.
Oh.
So they met in I think the late 60s. And she was young. She was, I think, just out of her teens. And then she qualified as a nurse in the UK, and then she was working in the psychiatric hospital.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah. Now, your mother, which part of Ghana is she from?
My mother's a Fanti from Ekumfi, Otwam. That's Atta Mills' hometown.
That's right. That's right. And how did she get herself in England?
It's a long story. My grand uncle, he was SK02. So he was actually a former parliamentarian in the Nkrumah's government.
That's right.
He was an independent candidate, and he was also the director of the Ghana Bureau of Languages. And he wrote most of the Fanti books that were taught in school back then. But he had some children, and he would send them to UK. And my mother, being their cousin, she was slightly older. He sent her along with them to look after them.
Wow.
So that's how she ended up in the UK.
In the UK?
Yeah.
What was your upbringing like? I mean, Ghanaian mother and a Scottish father. What was the house like?
I mean, honestly, I don't have great memories of my childhood because you know how it is out there. Once you have black blood in you, you're black. That's easy. So out there, and because my father was white, he couldn't understand the sorts of racism that I was facing. My primary school, I was the only black kid in primary school and secondary school. It wasn't until I think I was in year 4 at secondary school, 4th year, that there was another Nigerian, it was a boys' school, Nigerian child that joined the school. So I grew up being on the outside, always on the outside, and it was difficult because you make friends, but those friends can instantly turn on you. You understand? So you had to learn how to cope on your own.
What kind of racism did you go through? in school?
Oh, I mean, there was a normal bullying, the name calling. I don't want to mention some of the names, but the name calling, the ostracization, they'll let you know that you are not their standard. And don't forget, that time, racism was almost allowed in the schools. Even the teachers, they could be racist towards you, call you names. The N word is more American, but in England they had a word called horrible words. There used to be this jam brand of jam. I think it was called Robinson's or something, and it had this gollywog. I don't know if anyone knows what a gollywog is, but it's a picture of a black, completely black person with afro hair, and so you'll be called a gollywog, you'll be called a coon, you'll be called all kinds of derogatory things.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I didn't have a very pleasant childhood growing up, honestly.
Oh my God. And your father could not understand why you were going through this racism?
No, I mean, he would say, okay, just if they call you that, call them Snow White.
Snow White, wow.
And that's not an insult to a white person.
That's right.
You understand? So he couldn't understand. And my mother, she understood, but then she didn't have, a response. She was a very quiet type, and so on. So I had to deal with it in my own way.
Okay, so my producer is going to put up a photograph of the gollywog. It's Gollywog. That's a gollywog. Gollywog.
That's it.
That's a gollywog. And I would like the listeners and those watching us online to see exactly what a gollywog is. It's interesting.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. So that's what I was called. All through my childhood, yeah.
And it's almost like the N word in America, right?
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so my guest in the studio is David Bolton. Oh my God, and we're having a very interesting conversation. Now tell me, I mean, when you were in England, apart from the fact that you were going through racism in the schools, what really excited you about life in England?
I think because I didn't know anything else. I didn't know anything about Ghana or my Ghanaian heritage. I mean, I believe I came to Ghana when I was 2 years and when I was 4 years, and that was it. So I didn't have much memory of it. But I think I always found solace in music. Music has always been with me since day one, and also learning because when I was learning, I wasn't being judged. I wasn't being judged by anybody, and my father, I mean, bless him, when it came to education, he was extremely strict.
Wow.
So I would finish school, finish my homework, then he would set me another set of homework to do.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I quite remember my so-called friends would come knocking on the door after school. Can David come out to play? He said, no, he hasn't finished his work.
Wow.
So it was rare that I got out to really play with them. Maybe that was his coping mechanism. I don't know.
And what was punishment like? Were you able to eat 3 times a day? Was it a privileged home? Was it rich?
No, we're not rich at all. Not rich at all. I mean, my father, as I say, he was a tailor. It was a paradox almost, because we lived in a very affluent area. I don't know if you know Surrey. There's Surrey, which is outside London. It's a very rich upper middle class area, but we were living in council flats, which are basically a council flat in the UK is you can't afford a house. You can't afford to buy a house. You can't afford to even rent necessarily a house. So the council have social housing. I think that's what they call it now, social housing, so that they will house you in that. So it was an okay apartment. There was nothing wrong with it, but it wasn't affluent. I mean, I grew up with second-hand clothes. That was my childhood.
Wow.
In second-hand clothes. And
wow.
all that, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so was it a house for poor people then?
It was a block of flats. So think of let's say the SNIT flats we have here, or the police, the police bungalows and things, or the blocks. It was something like that. So it's for poor people. So people who couldn't afford, to buy houses and so on. Yeah, it was basically for poor people.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Were you the first child, or there were some other children in the house?
I was the first child from my mother. My dad was married 3 times.
Okay.
So he had other children from the previous 2 marriages, but with my mother I was the first, and then we had my sister. I think she's 5 years behind me, but that was it, just the 2 of us. Yeah.
And in the house, were there other children, or it was just you?
It was just us, just the 4 of us. So mother, father, and 2 children.
What was discipline like, apart from the fact that your father would insist that you should do the homework?
My father was very, very strict, and I grew up. I think I was slightly afraid of him. He was never violent. I quite remember there was just once when he actually spanked me.
Wow.
And that was when I was caught smoking.
Oh, wow.
I think I must have been about 6 or 7 years old.
Oh, wow. What were you smoking?
Oh, cigarettes. Cigarettes. And so, peer pressure, you go out with your friends and then you're all smoking. And then I think one of them went to rat us out, and then my father. So everybody was called to their individual flats,
right.
And then they were all giving their punishments.
Oh my God!
This is 3FM.
So mine was I got a spank, and because he was a tailor. I don't know if you've seen a tailor's ruler before.
Oh yes.
It's a 1 yard thick wood.
Yes.
Hey.
Yes. Wow.
That was a serious. But that was the only time.
The only time
that he physically, gave me any kind of discipline. Apart from that, it was always verbal, but then it was never derogatory, or it was always for a positive reason.
How about your mother? Did she tell you about your history, where you were coming from, and did she encourage you to get back to your roots and get to know your roots and all that?
She didn't. To this day, I don't know, but I suspect she had a very negative experience in Ghana because although she still remained close with her relatives, and she never taught us Fanti at home. She never wanted us to come back to Ghana.
Wow.
She never wanted us to come back to Ghana. And the reason she gave is because, one, it's like, I've struggled so hard to get out of this place and build a life for you, and now you're just going back there to throw it all away. And she told me exactly what would happen, the sorts of challenges I would face. And everything she said came true, I must admit.
What were some of the things she told you that came true?
She said, look, you've built a business. That time I was very young and I was very successful in the UK. And we can talk about that in a bit. But she said that, look, you lose everything. The corruption will just eat you up.
Wow.
They won't pay you. They will try to destroy you and all of that. And that was what happened. That's exactly what happened.
I'm going to get into it, but let me find out. After you left primary school, I'm sure you went higher. What did you study? What did you want to do with your life?
Okay, well, fortunately, I was quite good at school, so I excelled. And then secondary school, I went to a very elite grammar school.
Wow.
It was called Wilson's Grammar School, and it was actually founded in the year 1615.
Wow.
So right now it's over 400 years old.
Yes, for real.
So there was this, I don't know if you've heard of this actor Michael Caine.
Yeah.
Michael Caine, he was actually from that school as well.
Oh,
so
wow.
It's a very notable school, and a lot of successful British people came out of that school. So I was fortunate enough to get into the school, and I had a scholarship in the school. So one of the things is that my father couldn't even afford my uniform and things.
Wow.
And school lunches. So I had to go every day to the headmaster's office to take a token.
Wow.
There was this coin, a metal coin, and then that token was what I would have to use to go and pay for lunch.
Wow.
Every day. So even that was a bit degrading, because you have to knock on the headmaster's office, see the secretary, sign for the token, and then go and use that token to eat. So there were days where I didn't go for it because I just felt so bad.
My God.
So I wouldn't eat those days. Yeah.
How old were you then?
Started secondary school at 11.
11?
So from 11 until 17, until I came to Ghana. Yeah.
Wow. And you would have to go and knock on the headmaster's door every day for that token?
Yeah.
For how long?
Oh, for the entire time I was at school. But I think it got to a point when I started becoming successful, and I was making my own money. By that time, I was about 14, 15.
Oh, 14.
Yeah, and then I would rather be paying for my friends' lunches.
Interesting.
Just to make a point. Say, oh, it's okay, I'll pay for your lunch, just to make that point. So for about 3 years, I think about 3 years, I had to be collecting that token,
Wow.
you know, in school.
Wow. Okay, so tell me, how did you become successful? What really were you doing at 14 to make money?
Okay, what happened is my father bought me a second-hand computer. It was for a birthday present. I think I turned 9 years old, either birthday or Christmas. I can't remember because I was born in February. So they, you know, sometimes they would actually lump together my Christmas and birthday presents together. But he bought me this second-hand computer. It was called a Sinclair ZX81.
My God.
Which by today's standards is basically a calculator.
My God have mercy.
You know?
This is 3FM.
So what they used to happen is they had these magazines. Every month there would be this magazine. And that particular computer used a language called BASIC. And that was the programming language. So these magazines would have pages and pages of code, of computer code. So you would basically copy it into the computer. You type it by hand. And it could take you the whole day just to type it. And then it would, because you're typing all of this information, definitely you would make mistakes. So in computer terms, in technology, we call them syntax errors. So if there's a syntax error, it means maybe you've misspelled something or you've put a comma in the wrong place or something. So the whole program will not work.
Oh my God.
So you then have to go through and work out why it is not working. So that's how I learned how to program.
Wow.
Those times there were no computer classes in school or anything like that. So I learned it, you know, by trial and error. And then I found that I was good at it.
Wow. Also,
So-
you learned how to program.
Yeah. So I learned how to program. So from there, my father was a handyman. So by that time because he had been taught by his father, who was a quantity surveyor. So he trained all of his sons in electricals, plumbing, masonry, carpentry, everything. So my father knew how to do everything. He could build a house from foundation to
Wow.
finishing. So he used to do a lot of handiwork for the rich people in the area. As I say, it was a very affluent area. So he would be doing repairs and things like that. So there were a few of the people he worked for ran businesses. And they needed somebody to be keying in data and creating spreadsheets and programs. And my father said, oh, my son can do that for you.
Wow.
And he's like, no, he can't do that. He can't do that. They wouldn't believe him. So a few of them gave me the chance and actually started doing it. And I did it very well for them.
Wow.
So this was things like, let's say someone's running, I quite remember there was one man called Mr. Courtney who had an oil business. And he needed projections, cash flow projections, budgets, and I had no idea what they were at the time. But I understood it, I learnt it, and then did all of his accounting, cash flow projections on the computer for him. And so it built up from there. They'll pay you a few pounds, and then... okay, this is Sinclair. This is not the ZX. The ZX81 was actually smaller than this.
Smaller than
Yeah,
this.
Sinclair
Okay.
ZX81. This is the PC200.
Wow.
This was a bit more advanced.
Whoa.
Yeah, if they can search for the ZX81. ZX, it's a tiny thing.
ZX81.
ZX81, yeah. But the interesting story is from there, my father encouraged me.
Wow.
He encouraged me. So from the ZX81, he would, whatever money he could get, he would put it together. We would sell the old one, and then he would upgrade it for me.
Wow.
So every few months, he would be trying, you know, when I outgrew it, he would get me the next one. So that's, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be where I am today without my father's, you know, perseverance, encouragement. You know, yeah.
So that was how you started making money.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm reading it from somewhere here, from Ghana, where and it said you made your first £1 million sterling at the age of 17. True?
Yeah, that's true.
Somebody who
Yeah.
was taking tokens from the headmaster's
Yes,
table.
yes.
You made £1 million
More than that, in fact, yeah.
from this thing that you were doing,
Yeah.
the programming
From the programming.
in England.
Yes. What actually happened is one of my father's clients was a man called Dr. Smith. He was our family doctor.
Right.
And when he saw what I was doing, how my father was supporting me, he immediately came on board and started also supporting me. So he then said, okay, this was back in 1989.
1989. I wasn't born. Wow.
1989. That time I think I was 15, 15 getting to 16.
Wow.
And he said that the government, at that time, the UK government, they were changing the contract they had with all the doctors. So whereas before they would fund all the doctors and pay for everything, now they wanted the doctors to behave more like businesses. So they would give them targets. So for instance, they had to, at that time, cancer was becoming more and more prevalent and people were understanding it. So they realized that, okay, if they take preventative measures, they can prevent so many cancers and things. So they had something called the cervical smear, which was a new thing. So what they needed was a system that could manage the clinic. In UK, we call them surgeries, doctor surgeries. They could manage the clinic, so it could hold the register of all the patients. It could hold their medical history, any complaints they had, the drugs that they'd been prescribed, and it could also schedule these preventative checkups and so on. So they needed a system that could do that. And there was only one other system that was doing that at the time, and it was made by a big drug company called Ciba-Geigy.
Wow.
It was a German company. But it cost over £200,000 for one surgery.
£200,000.
Yes. So
wow.
It was obviously very expensive, but
Yes.
the doctors had to buy it. So Dr. Smith said, why can't you develop your own thing and then we can sell it? I said, okay. I had no idea. So he actually held my hand, took me to the Royal College of General Practitioners. They explained everything to me. And then I developed the software.
Oh, you developed the software?
Yeah. So I completely coded it from scratch, developed the software.
Wow.
And then came up with the GP. We called it acgp. My company was called Associated Computer Enhancements, so ACE. My father came up with that name. So it's called acgp, so ACE General Practitioner.
Wow.
So we were then selling it for £5,000 a copy.
There's the software.
Yeah, instead of 2,000, and that was including the computer. Instead of £200,000, it was £5,000.
Wow.
And it did everything plus more that the Ciba-Geigy system did. So obviously the doctors were just coming in and buying and buying. So that by that time I was, I think I'd just gotten to 17, just past 17, and we were selling it. It was like water. It was just going out. So I had to employ staff and
nobody could duplicate this.
Well, nobody had at the time.
Or hack into it.
This was the days before the internet.
Wow.
This was before the internet.
This is 3FM.
So the internet was not a thing in 1990. By this time, it's 1990.
What was the software called again?
ACE-GP. So ACE, as in the Ace of Spades, GP.
Wow.
For general practitioner.
My God.
Yeah, ACE-GP.
And this was 17?
17, yeah.
Wow. Did it make you famous? I mean, for you to be able to write something like this in the days and all that?
Very famous. I mean, it got to the point where I was on TV almost every single day. Radio, newspapers.
In Britain?
In Britain. In fact, not just Britain, all over the world. I had the Australian Broadcasting Corporation. They sent a crew over to come and interview me. Borneo, Poland. In fact, I was just told a few weeks ago, someone came from Poland. And she said that you were actually taught, your story was taught to us in school in Poland.
Wow.
So when she actually met me.
This is 3FM.
So I didn't. So, and I remember there was a French television company that came and actually did a documentary about me. At one point, there's a Hollywood movie company called MGM, MGM Studios.
MGM, yes.
They even started negotiating about the rights to tell my story.
To make a film about you.
Me. Yeah.
Did they end up doing it?
They didn't, because I came to Ghana.
Wow.
This is 3FM. This is 3FM.
My guest is David Bolton. Oh my God, have mercy, David Kwamena Bolton in Ghana. If you had met him in the United States or in England or in Japan, you might probably know him as David Bolton William. My brother, my sister, we're having an interesting conversation. He designed and built a software by the age of 17, and it gave him £1 million British pounds. We had so many people coming from different networks from around the world to interview him, and at a point, MGM wanted to tell his story in a movie. Not just any movie, a Hollywood movie. This is the man we're talking about who used to knock on the headmaster's door just to get a token to eat lunch. My brother, my sister, we're proud he's Ghanaian.
This is 3FM.
Now tell me, after you made the £1 million, when did this start going down?
Going down in
Going down in the sense of the software. Did it get outmoded? Did the money stop coming in?
No.
Yeah.
It was actually at the height. What actually happened? This company I was telling you about, Siba Gaigi. One day they invited my father and myself
Wow.
to their country mansion, if you like it. So they brought. That was the first time I sat in a limousine.
Wow.
So they, in fact, my first and only time.
Wow.
They sent a limousine to pick my father and myself up. We drove out into the countryside. You know those sorts of mansions where the gate is a mile away from the house.
Yeah.
And you're going. It was like that.
Yes.
We get there and they actually then took me around, showed me their system, the one which I was competing against, the 200,000, and it was on this huge computer system. At those times they called them mainframes.
My God.
And mine was just on a small desktop.
What?
So they showed me theirs, I showed them mine. And I quite remember that we went to the conference room and they said, okay, we have a proposal.
Wow.
We want to buy your software
Wow.
from you. And I remember they wrote down the figure. And because at that time I was 17.
17, yes.
I wasn't even legally an adult. So my father was responsible for me. So
Wow.
they wrote it down on a sheet of paper and then slid it across to my father.
Wow.
Looked at it. And then he showed me, and his features just changed.
My God, have mercy.
This is
His features
3FM.
changed.
What?
£2 million.
Hey.
They wanted
This
to buy
is
it for £2 million.
2 million
£2 million.
pounds. And this was 1989?
This is 1990.
1990.
This was probably at the middle of 1990.
My God.
£2 million. And so then I asked the question, so why, I was a bit naive those days. Why do you want my system when you already have your own?
That's right.
And the guy, I mean, he's a typical like middle-aged white man. He said,
Right.
oh, we just want to buy it to shelve it.
Wow.
He said it plainly. We want to shelve it. Because
Yeah,
you're-
take you
Yeah,
out of the
that's it.
competition.
Imagine you're
This
selling
is 3FM.
£200,000 and I'm selling mine for 5,000.
My God.
So you can imagine, I was destroying their business.
This is 3FM.
So they said they want to shelve it. And in all of this, don't forget, I wasn't doing this for money. I was doing it because I enjoyed it.
Wow.
So the money, I didn't even know what to do with that money.
Oh, gosh.
You understand? When I was making the money and selling it 5,000, sometimes in a week we'll have 20 sales.
Wow.
You know, so you can imagine that. And for me, the money was not important.
Who was keeping the money? Your father?
My father, yes.
Okay.
It was my father and Dr. Smith. They were managing the finances.
talents, yes.
Yeah. So I remember the first time I made some money. This was before the doctor's thing. I bought my father a car.
Wow.
And I bought my mother a washing machine and microwave.
What?
And all those things.
What?
Those times. So for me, money didn't mean anything. I couldn't drive at that point. Although I had bought a Porsche. I think I bought a Porsche when I was 15 years old.
Oh.
But I couldn't drive it. so I had somebody to drive it for me.
Because you
those
hadn't come
times.
of age.
Yeah, in those times, you couldn't drive until you were 17.
Interesting.
Yeah, and you were not legally an adult until 18.
Interesting. David, tell me, do you still have 1 million British pounds?
Maybe in spirit.
In spirit. Hallelujah.
This is 3FM.
David Bolton is my guest. We are having a conversation. Okay, now, I mean, this is not the first time we are hearing a story like this. I mean, just recently we heard about a 21-year-old cheddar who made £1 million British pounds from selling scraps.
Yeah. You know, sometimes when you hear these stories and people ridicule what you say, I think sometimes it's out of ignorance. Because if you're not in an environment where those things can happen, it's difficult to understand.
Right.
But look, for someone like Cheddar, selling scrap is a very lucrative business. Some of the richest people in the UK deal in scrap. Yeah, I was dealing in software. Yeah, and it's just a numbers game. If I'm selling something for 5,000 and I can sell 100 of them, yeah, that's £500,000 right there. And it's just a case of copying it and selling it. So it was not difficult. It's about how to find that market, how to tap into that market. You know, in Ghana, it's difficult because the resources are I don't know how to say it. The resources are in the hands of the few.
That's right.
But over there, the resources, yes, they're in the hands of the few, but the trickle-down effect...
That's right. It's huge.
Yeah, it's huge. So if you can find a product
3FM.
or a service that is needed, you can make literally millions overnight.
So do you believe Cheddar's story of making £1 million by selling scraps?
I don't disbelieve it. You understand? It's very possible.
It's very possible.
It's very possible, yeah.
It's very possible.
Yeah.
David Bolton is my guest, and we are having a conversation. Okay, and this is 92.7 in Living Stereo, 3FM, your urban lifestyle radio. What brought you to Ghana, David? Running away from the MGM big movie on the silver screen of Hollywood.
Okay, so, you know, I always say that life, it's one decision you make in life, or one word you say. The power of the word is so... Look, the word is, as they say in the Bible, the word was God and God was the word. Just, you can utter one word and it can change your whole life.
That's true.
And that's what happened to me.
Wow.
What happened is, at the height of my success, as I say, I was going on TV all the time. So there was one particular television program those days called TV AM, when they had just started breakfast TV. It wasn't a thing, and they had just started it. So they called me that they want to interview me. So I went very early morning. Again, they picked me up with a chauffeur. This time, not a limousine, just a normal car. Got to the TV station, was in central London, and they interviewed me. So you had to be there by 5:30 a.m. So the interview was around 6:15 or something like that. And then they were just asking me the usual questions. And then for some reason, I mentioned that my mother was Ghanaian.
Wow.
I think that's the first time I had mentioned it on any interview.
Wow.
That my mother was Ghanaian. That was it. From there, immediately I had a call from the West Africa magazine. I don't know if you remember that magazine.
I do remember
West
that
Africa.
clearly.
This is 3FM.
So they said they wanted to interview me. So I said, no problem. I mean, I used to enjoy telling my story and all that. So it was fun. So they actually came to my office then, came and saw what I was doing, saw some of my clients, saw my computers and everything, and it ended up being a front page story on West Africa. So there I was. Those time I had long hair. Michael Jackson style. Long hair. And
this is 3FM.
So they had a picture of me with my long hair and one of my computers.
Right.
Then, as soon as that was published, I had a call from the Ghana High Commission. That time, is it KB Annan, I think, was the High Commissioner. This was 1990. That they're inviting me to the High Commission to come, and they wanted to talk to me. So he called us in, and everything I did was with my father. So we went there, and then he congratulated me and said, Chairman Rawlings wants to congratulate you and is inviting you to come to Ghana.
Interesting.
My father immediately said, yes, let's go.
Oh, wow.
My mother said, no, you're not going.
Oh, my God.
This is 3FM.
So what convinced my mother is that it was just a visit.
Okay.
Right? It was just supposed to be a 1-month visit. So she said, okay, fine, you can go and come.
So Rawlings invited you to Ghana?
Yes.
Okay, so hold it there.
This is 3FM.
Now, the 2 million British pounds, did you sign and take the money or not?
No, we didn't.
Why?
Because, as I say, I wasn't doing it for money, and I was enjoying what I did, it's almost like you've created a baby.
And thrown it away?
Yeah, and throwing it away. I mean, why would I do that?
Interesting.
Why would I do that?
That was very selfless.
In hindsight, I should have taken it.
Oh, you should have taken it?
I should have taken it.
Really?
I should have, because what happened after that, I came to Ghana, and I had to abandon the business in the UK, had to close everything down. So if I had sold it, at least I would have recouped, some of the investment.
Does it mean you regret coming to Ghana?
No, I don't.
This is 3FM.
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay, so I'm going to leave the £2 million story for the time being and then jump into Chairman Rawlings. Now, when you decided that you were coming to Ghana, what was the preparation like?
On my part, very little. But on the Ghana government's part, I didn't realize they had set up a whole string of activities. It was on the Daily Graphic and the Times. That was the only publications available in Ghana at those times.
Wow.
This was when there was only GBC, and there was the Graphic and the Times, and I think that was it. At that time they hadn't opened up the media space. So every day they were publicizing the fact that I was coming to Ghana for about a month.
Wow, before you arrived?
Yeah. Now I remember I came, Ghana Airways. It was the 2nd of November, 1990.
That's a very important day to Rasta. That's Coronation Day, where we beat a lot of Nyabingi drums.
Oh,
2nd
wow.
November.
Okay.
Wow.
I was supposed to have arrived on the 1st, but Ghana Airways was 15 hours late.
What?
This is 3FM.
Oh gosh, we were sitting at Heathrow Airport and they said, the plane is stuck in Düsseldorf. There's a problem with the engine.
Oh my God.
15 hours late. But anyway, we arrived around 2 a.m. On the 2nd of November, and it was raining. It was raining. And there were about not less than 500 people
Oh my God.
waiting for me outside the airport.
Were they ordinary Ghanaians or they
Ghanaians.
were politicians?
No, ordinary Ghanaians.
Wow.
I mean, they took us in through the VIP. If you remember the old airport,
Yes,
they had
yes.
the VIP section. So they took us straight from the airplane to VIP, sorted out everything.
You
As
and
soon
your
as-
father?
Yes, yes. As soon as we came out, man, 500 people just
What?
waiting to see me. And I was like, what's going on here?
This was 1990.
1990. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
This is 3FM.
Wow. So what was the welcome like? I mean, they were embracing you. Were they asking for autographs? Were they talking to you? What did they do?
Yeah. So they were embracing me at that point. I'd never had the need for security or anything like that before. But there was security there for me. So there were some soldiers. So they were kind of keeping the distance. And honestly, I was in a bit of shock, culture shock. So I didn't even know what to do or say at that point. So they just put us in the car and then whisked us off.
Interesting.
And then that was when I had I had the information that I was being
This
installed
is
as
3FM.
chief.
Oh, you were installed as a chief.
Yeah, because and that was something that was another reason why my mother didn't want me to come to Ghana.
My God.
Because I quite remember when I was about 7 or 8, she said, if you ever come to Ghana, you'll be made a chief, and that will be the end of your life.
Oh my God.
So my grand uncle SK02 was Nana Obatan of Ekumfi Otuam.
Interesting.
So he actually, at that time he was about 80. He actually abdicated for me to then be installed.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
He abdicated.
Yeah.
And with your arrival, you were supposed to step in for him.
Yes.
So you're a chief.
I'm a chief. So I was sent straight from the airport. This was 2 a.m. They took me to a lodge in North Kaneshi, changed me quickly, and then straight on the road to the central region that very day. And then when I got to Otuam, at that time there was no electricity there. There was no water there.
Oh my
So
God.
you can imagine coming from the UK, where I've never even experienced light off before, or turned on a tap and there was no water.
Oh my
And I
God.
get to Otuam and there's no water.
And you were the chief.
Well, I was about to be installed. So the ceremony is very elaborate. So they take you in, they prepare you. But in my case, because I didn't understand any of the culture, it was all being done around me, and I didn't understand what was going on. They carried me in a palanquin. They were shooting muskets. They were doing all kinds of things. Oh, before I realized it, by the end of that weekend, I was Nana Obatan of Otuam.
Nana Obatan. Nana no. Boko.
Yeah.
Oba. Nana Obatan no. Oba. Boko. Nana no. Boko. Ahun fehini. Obo. Nana no. Boko. Aha. Oba. Oba. Nana Obatan no. Oba.
This is 3FM.
All right, make we answer the boom. Fire, fire, fire.
My God, born and bred in the UK, no light off and no water ever stopped coming from out of the tap. And taken all the way into an area and made a chief because his relative had abdicated. And then there was the shooting of muskets. He sat in a palanquin and came. No, about time, no, about. Oh my God, have mercy. So when you were made a chief, you stayed in the village there?
Yes, I was there but because I had a whole program arranged for me, I could only stay for, I think, 4 days in the village.
What?
So so then we came back to Accra. But by the time that I was leaving, I didn't want to go.
Wow.
Because I had fallen in love with the community.
Wow.
Then I realized things like electricity, they didn't matter. Running water didn't really matter.
What?
I mean, nobody was thirsty. Everybody got it. Is it?
Oh
So it gave me a different perspective on life. That there are more important things than money. The fame and all of that. There were far more important things. Now that was the first time I truly felt that I was home.
And you went against the warning of your mother that will be the end of your life.
Yeah.
This is 3FM.
Your father did not object. Was she still married to your father?
Yes, they were still married. I mean, they remained married until my father passed in 2019. Yeah.
Your father didn't object to you becoming a chief?
Not. He was for it. He was all for it because he had his own personal agenda. He loved Ghana. He loved Ghana. So any opportunity for him to be in Ghana, he would take advantage of that.
But being made a chief, did you see from afar that they were only trying to be opportunists, like trying to eat into whatever you were going to give them?
Not really, because when it was all explained to me, I mean, my lineage was actually explained all the way back to where we actually came from Techiman. Wow. I don't know if you know the story of the Fantis.
Yes, I do.
We came from Techiman. So, forgive me, I'll murder the pronunciation, but our first Nana Obatan was Akweku Chimanu the first from Techiman. So he came all the way down, and then they fought some major wars and so on, and eventually they took Otuam. So every year our Akwambo Festival is actually celebrating the war we had with the next town, Dego, which is Gomwa, Dego, and Ikumfi Otuam, and we won that war. So I mean, to the extent that about 10 or 15 years ago, we had a delegation from Techiman that came to us.
Wow!
And they said that, look, there's a gold mining concession given to some contractors. And anytime they went down into the pit, they saw tigers.
What?
Tigers. What? And said, but there are no tigers in Africa.
Interesting.
This is 3FM.
Our tribe, the Abrazi tribe, the emblem is the tiger.
Interesting.
So they said that Akweku Chimanu had put a curse on the land before he left, that nobody will come and take the treasure of the land. So, and this was in I think the 17 or 1800s. I've forgotten the exact time when they actually left. So they actually sent the delegation down that we had to send people from the royal family to go there and lift the curse. But they said that if I went as Akwekuchimano the Sixth,
that's right.
If I go into the forest, I will never return.
Wow.
So they had to send a delegation of people.
What?
And when they went there, they had to give them some compensation. So there's a huge rock.
Did you believe it?
Honestly, no.
Okay.
I didn't at the time because I was very skeptical about the whole thing.
Do you believe it now?
I still find it difficult, but then there's something in it. You understand? Because for them, why would the contractors were not Ghanaians? I think they were Chinese or something. Why would the Chinese go in there and say they saw tigers and they were so afraid that they couldn't go back in?
And they told you this in your face?
Yeah.
They told you they saw tigers?
Yes, they saw tigers.
What?
They saw tigers. I mean, honestly, I found it very difficult to believe. But then, if you think about it, why would they make up that story? And why would they send down a delegation for us to remove the curse before they could? And what was happening is all their machinery was breaking down.
My God.
All the machinery was breaking down.
What year was this?
This was about 15 years ago, so it must have been early 2000s.
Interesting.
Early 2000s.
And you were the one who was supposed to remove this curse?
Yes. So my family, so they went up there and they removed the curse, did the rituals, and then they brought back, they said as part of the there were some sacrifices and so on, and they had to give them this huge rock, which we kept in the chief's palace.
Your palace?
Yeah. So it's and according to, I've never been allowed to see it. It's there. It's in a room in the palace. They claim that it grows gold. So wow. I'm still waiting to see the gold.
And you have never seen it?
No, I've never seen it. I'm not allowed to see it, apparently.
Wow.
So I don't know what actually happened.
When you were in the village where you served, did they serve you? Did they bring you food? Did they give you a wife or something?
Oh, yeah, they served me, yeah. And as for wives, they have tried many times to give me. Those times, I married young. I married when I was 19.
Oh, wow. In England?
No, here.
Here? Oh, okay.
Ghanaian. She was from Anamabo.
Oh, wow.
My first wife. And then they were saying that, no, once your wife is not from Otuam, we will not recognize your children.
Wow.
So to us, you don't have any children.
Wow.
So they kept on sending young ladies for me to choose one to be my stool wife, one or more. But I was not ready for that. You never did it? No, I never did it. I never did it.
And was your wife aware of this?
She was, because she was, at that time, we're no longer together, but she was a Fanti as well, so she understood, the culture. Yeah. But I think she would probably have accepted it, but I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah, I mean, getting married at 19, I'm sure you would have made a lot of mistakes and all that. But tell me if you want to share, what made you break up with your wife?
I think we just wanted different things. She wasn't a bad person in any way. Very matured, very respectable. She came from a good family. Her grandfather was the former Minister of Finance, Robert Gardner.
Oh, wow.
She was a very respectable person. I think I also married too young, so I didn't understand a lot of things and all of that. And she was a bit older than I was as well. She was about 10 years older than me. So I think it was just the wrong timing and all of that.
Was the problem sexual?
No, not at all.
And you had children?
No, we didn't have children.
Oh.
We didn't have children.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Have children.
But you have children, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
From another marriage?
Yes.
After the divorce?
After the divorce, yeah.
Oh, so you are married to a different woman now?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And this woman is from Utuam now?
No, she's from Pepiasi.
You don't want the Utuam women?
This is 3FM.
David Bolton is my guest in the studio, and we are having a conversation. Producer, put out, those code cards, and I want to seek the wisdom of David Bolton, the code cards. Please put them out there, and let me, ask David Bolton a few questions. But where did music come in?
Music has been there from day one, as I mentioned. My first experience with music was in primary school. One good thing in the English system, the British system, I don't know if it's still the case, but back then it was compulsory that you take one instrument. and learn an instrument. So at my school, there were choices. You had the piano, I think flute, saxophone, violin, cello, all of those things. So I chose the violin. I can't remember quite why. I think I just liked the sound of the violin. It spoke to me. So I chose the violin. I must have been about 6 years old when I started. And then they take you through, they assign you a tutor. So you have one-on-one lessons. And then they have a grading system where when you get to a certain stage, you take an exam. And they have grade 1 to grade 10. Grade 10 being the concert aficionado violinists, and grade 1 being obviously the beginner. I think I ended up getting to a grade 6.
Wow.
On that, which is fairly advanced. And I joined an orchestra in my secondary school. There was an area orchestra.
Right.
It's like all the secondary schools come together, and then you have to. I think it was twice a week. You come together, and then we performed at concerts and all of that. So I'd loved music.
Interesting.
And then I remember I went to a computer exhibition. I must have been about 9 or 10. It was just when I was starting to get into computers. And there was one particular exhibit where there was this one guy, one computer, and all these synthesizers, racks and racks of synthesizers.
Wow.
And he was playing a whole symphony.
Wow.
A whole symphony. Like he was controlling the entire orchestra, and it sounded realistic. So I said, hey, so you can do that with computers?
Wow.
So immediately that I started buying equipment.
Wow.
Once I started making some money, I bought synthesizers, I bought keyboards, bought a computer that could, those times they called it a sequencer. Today they call it a DAW, a digital audio workstation. But those days it was called a sequencer because it would sequence the music and send out the information to all the synthesizers and so on. So that's how I got into the idea of using technology for music and recording. So that's how I fell in love with music.
Interesting. I'm going to get deeper into the music, but look at the code card on the screen. It says sponsors, promoters, and founders of LGBTQ plus activities to be jailed 3 years maximum and 5 years maximum. This was sent to us by one of the listeners when he heard that you were going to be coming into the studio, and that we should ask you what you think about this. And then gays and lesbians caught in the act to face minimum 2 months in prison and maximum 6 months in prison. I'm sure they are asking because you're coming from England where these things are accepted.
Because I grew up in the UK, I guess I have a very liberal view of things. For one, I believe live and let live.
Okay.
Right, that's what I believe. Because of the discrimination I went through as a child, I would not want to visit that upon anybody, no matter what. You understand? I would not want, because I actually attempted suicide twice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I attempted suicide twice.
You did?
Yeah. I even have a song, I wrote a song about it called Just a Bitter Pill, where I explained the whole thing. I felt so degraded as a human being that I tried taking an overdose of pills. The first time it didn't work. The second time I decided that was it. I'd had enough. I felt like my life was worthless. Completely worthless. In England, yeah. I was 14 at the time.
Hey, wow.
So I'd even seen some success with the computer stuff. I hadn't made my million yet, but I'd seen some success. But even so, I think psychologically, taking the tokens from the headmaster, being constantly told that and made to believe that you are nothing and you don't fit in society. I tried.
Was it
twice.
because of your color?
Yes.
Basically, because of the color.
Because of my color, yeah.
Wow.
So because of that, I'm very, very sensitive to any group that is seen as different, and whatever my personal views may be, I don't believe that I have the right to judge anybody for anything. It's different if you're talking about a mass murderer or something like that. But what somebody chooses to do in their bedroom, whatever views I have about it, I don't believe that I have the right to say that you are less of a human being or more of a human being than I am because of what I experienced.
I had a friend, this friend is not alive anymore, who mentioned, to me, discrimination that, in fact, it's a she. In fact, discrimination that she had gone through, heartbreaks from men and all that, and at the end of the day, she ended up saying that, well, I'm fed up with life. Either I commit suicide or I forget about any relationship with a man.
Right.
She ended up being a lesbian.
Okay.
Have you, in your trials, ever tried maybe being bi, being gay, anything like that? Have you gone through that before?
No. I mean, my issues were not based on
sexuality.
Sexuality. You get me? It was based on different things. So yeah. So it's not. Yeah. It's not my experience.
So there was a time you actually contemplated suicide twice.
Yeah.
Did your father know about this?
No, I never. In fact, I never told him. And in fact, I haven't actually told my mother. You know,
Wow.
but I've written a song about it.
Wow.
And I've spoken about it before, but it's something that I've not addressed directly with them.
Okay. I'm going to leave this, let it rest for the time being. I'm going to go back a little bit. The 2 million British pounds. Did your father seek your opinion before you said no, or he just decided that no, we are not taking the 2 million?
He was in total support of what I was doing.
Oh.
So for him as well, I think he also was not somebody focused on money.
Oh.
Because that man was extremely intelligent.
Wow.
He could have, and the same Dr. Smith said, this man, if he just focused and applied himself, he could have been a multimillionaire. You understand? So as we were growing up, money was never the focus. Money was never the focus.
Presented to you today, would you take it?
Again, it would depend on the circumstance. But if I had known then that I would be leaving UK to Ghana, and I could have taken that money, brought it to Ghana, and done, so much with it, yes, I would have taken it.
Interesting.
I would have taken it, but I still don't regret not taking it.
All right. So I'm going to let this one rest for the time being, and then I'll come to Chairman Rawlings. He invited you to Ghana.
Yes.
When you met him, did you meet him, and what happened?
So I remember I met him just after I'd been installed as a chief. I think that was one of the first activities. So we were taken to the castle, Osu, and we met him. And that time I actually met him with P.V. O'Bain. P.V. O'Bain was effectively the prime minister at that time. My father was there, and SK02 was also there. My granduncle was also there.
Wow.
So it was a very memorable.
He must have been so proud of you.
Oh yeah.
He was the one who abdicated, right?
Yes. Yes.
So when you told him that you were installed chief, what did he say?
Rawlings.
No, SK02.
No, he was SK02 was the previous chief. So he abdicated for me.
He left the seat and said he was not interested in it.
Yeah, he said that he wanted basically he wanted young blood basically.
Oh.
So and I guess because at the same time they knew that I was just coming for a short time, so they wanted to capture me. So that was it.
Was he in support of it?
Oh, he was the one that he said that what he actually said is that he listened to the people. The people were saying that, look, you've done well, you've done so much. He actually, Nkrumah, when Nkrumah was in power, he went there I think 3 times, and he was warned of the coup. He was warned, but he chose the last time he went, the fetish priest told him not to leave Ghana, not to travel.
Wow.
But I think he also didn't believe in a lot of these things. So he left, and that was when the coup happened.
Interesting. Which fetish priest was this? Was it at Otuam or where?
In Otuam, yes.
Wow.
In Otuam.
Interesting. Did you get to meet that fetish priest?
No, by that time
he was gone.
He was gone, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now let's get to you and Rawlings. What was the meeting like? What did he want from you?
He didn't want anything really from me. Basically, what it was, I think the whole idea of my visit was to encourage the Ghanaian youth and to show them that, look, here is a fellow Ghanaian who because of maybe circumstance, he had access to privileges that the average Ghanaian at that time didn't have. But to show them what a Ghanaian could do. So given the right environment, this is what you can achieve. So it was about encouraging the youth, basically. So that's why they had planned for me to visit the secondary schools. I gave a lecture at Kolebu to the doctors, a lecture at Legon to the lecturers. And it was to encourage the general population to say, look, Ghana, we can do anything, basically. That's what it was.
Wow. Wow. Did you get to work with him?
I did. You know, the great thing, because my father was Scottish, mother Ghanaian.
Oh.
He had the same connection.
Oh, connection,
And then at the same time, we both had a love for aviation.
Wow.
I used to fly radio-controlled aircraft, model aircraft, and he also flew them as well.
Oh, wow.
In the castle. So radio-controlled helicopters and planes and all of that.
You used to fly those?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So you're a pilot?
Those are the radio-controlled ones. The ones, you control it with a transmitter.
Oh, those
but
ones.
Then he taught me how to fly.
Oh, Rawlings taught you how to fly?
Yeah, he taught me how to fly.
Oh, wow.
Taught me how to fly.
So you can fly?
Yeah. I can
Helicopters?
Fly. No, I never flew a helicopter, just fixed wing aircraft.
Ah.
So I've taken off and landed at Kotoka many times.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but I never got my license.
Interesting. So Rawlings taught you this?
Yes.
You must have been close.
Very, very. I mean, up until the time he departed, yeah.
You were close?
Very close.
Never had any issues?
No.
Never disagreed?
Oh, we disagreed. We disagreed. But he's some. You see, the interesting thing about Rawlings that most people don't know is that he was a great reader of people, and sometimes you wonder why did he keep certain people around him that ended up biting him in the back, stabbing him in the back. But he knew there was a possibility they could do that. But he also knew that they had a good side to them, a positive side. So his focus was always to take a balanced view of somebody, say, yes, there's a bad side, there's a good side. Let me try and utilize that good side from the person to benefit the country. And that was his whole philosophy.
I was told that he asked you to do some work at the Kotoka International Airport as well. What work exactly did you do?
Yeah, that was the very first project I worked on in Ghana. In fact, what happened is I was supposed to go back after my initial visit, just to go back, and that was it. I'll continue with my business there. And because I'd fallen in love with Ghana and I'd found peace, I found my people, if you like. I wasn't being judged on the color of my skin. If anything, they see me as a white man here. But then even when they see me as a white man, it's not in a negative connotation.
Right.
You see, it's just that, okay, you're different. But when they hear that I'm actually Ghanaian, then, they treat me like anybody else.
That's true.
This is 3FM.
So, I felt that there was a lot more to it than just money and success. And the other aspect was that there was so much I felt I could do here.
Right.
The computer literacy at that time was so low.
Very low, yes.
This was before the days of the internet, before the days of mobile phones. People didn't even know how to use computers.
Yes.
So one of the first things I did was to set up a school, a computer school in Accra. So he asked me to stay. And I immediately said, yeah, I'd love to. I would love to. So I just went back for a short time, put my business in my affairs, in order, closed down the business there, and then moved to Ghana.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you wired the whole airport. What exactly did you do with the airport?
Okay, so this was back in 1991. At that time, there were no computers in the airport. So we had a project to design the software for the airport. So it did multiple things. One, obviously the accounting, their payroll, all of their staff. They had over, I think, 1,000-something staff or 2,000 staff. Their inventory, they kept a lot of inventory for flight safety and all sorts of things. The airport operations. So when an airplane lands, let's say KLM lands, there's a landing fee, there's a lighting fee, there's a parking fee. And even planes flying over Ghana, they call it en route charges. So if a plane is flying from UK to South Africa and they're using Ghana airspace, they have to pay a fee.
Wow. And so you built a software that could detect that.
So the software had to log all of those things and then invoice the companies at the end of the month and then track whether they've paid and all of those sorts of things. So it was a system we designed, implemented. We brought all the hardware. Now I quite remember the hardware at that time. The server was the type of processor was 80486. Now your mobile phone is 100 times or 1,000 times more powerful than that. But we had to get a special waiver from the UK government and declare that we were not going to use that computer for nuclear research.
Wow.
So that was how it was.
This is 3FM.
So we had to get that waiver. I think National Security had to issue that disclaimer that it was going to be used for the airport, for this, and not for nuclear research. And they actually delayed the project by about 6 months just because of that. Yeah, so it's interesting how that now when you see something like that, it has absolutely no use.
Did you help with espionage? Spying and all that? Because Rawlings used to have Susudis around who was doing a lot of work underground, which people would call espionage and all that.
Right.
Yeah.
No, but I did unfortunately get entangled, as they say, what's the collateral damage. I ended up being collateral damage in some of these political issues.
Wow.
At the time, this was the first elections we had, 92 elections. The story going around was that Rawlings brought me to Ghana to rig the elections.
Using computer knowledge.
That's it. So that was a story, and that is what, unfortunately, at that time, the MPP, remember they boycotted the election.
Yes, they did.
So that was a story that I rigged the elections.
Did you do it?
No, I had nothing to do. I wouldn't even know how to anyway.
This is 3FM.
I wouldn't even know how to. And the funny thing is, the computers were not even used. What actually happened is, at that time, GBC, they contracted my company to do a poll. So they wanted to do a poll to find out what the opinions were on how people were going to vote. So we did the poll, and then they would give us all of the information. We collated it and then did the analysis on it. And in that analysis, MPP would have won.
This is 3FM.
And they boycotted it.
They boycotted it.
Oh my God, have mercy. We have run out of time. I am sure that we need another 20 hours to be able to complete this interview. I mean, I'm enjoying myself. Unfortunately, I'm getting some flags from the back telling me that we need to go. But one last question and we are done. David, tell me this. Was Rawlings an honest leader?
Absolutely. I won't say he was a perfect leader, but he had, I know for a fact, when he left office, he didn't have a bank account.
Wow.
He didn't have a bank account. And he did not die a rich man at all.
How could you tell?
I was with him virtually every day.
Wow.
You know, this is somebody that lived off of the generosity of people who he had impacted over the years. So, I mean, I can tell you stories of when maybe he was sent $100,000 in cash. By the end of the week, that money was gone. Because it was not put in a bank. That money was given to, he's paying 100 children's school fees. He's paying somebody's heart surgery. He's paying, somebody wanted to become a pilot, so he's paying for their flight academy. He's paying, and then at the end of the week, he's broke again. So he lived completely off of the generosity of others. And to the day he died, he was impacting people. I mean, I don't want to make him out to be an angel, because I know there were lots of things that happened that he was responsible for and took responsibility for. But in terms of his heart and what he wanted for Ghana, he wanted the best. He wanted the very best.
All right. I mean, we have a lot of things. To actually talk about, and but because time is flying out, I think that we may have to end it here. But is it true that he died outside his home? Do you have any knowledge of that?
He was at Kolebu.
Kolebu?
Yes.
Did he die from outside his home? Did he go to Kolebu from outside his home, his official residence?
All I know is he passed. He actually passed in Kolebu.
In Kolebu?
Yeah, he passed away in Kolebu.
All right. Did he die a poor man?
It depends what you mean poor. I mean, he was not a wealthy man in terms of finances, as far as I know. But you can never call Rawlings a poor man. The man was so rich in personality, in his wisdom, and all of that. So,
did you ever support him financially?
Well, I would say it was reciprocal. Let me put it like that.
Oh, you used to give him money, and he used to give you money too?
There were times where I was going through very rough patches, and then vice versa. So yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can't claim that I supported him financially. No. If anything, he helped me out of so many situations. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think Rawlings is better than Nana Akufo-Addo?
I can't say that, no, because I don't know Akufo-Addo well enough to and I don't think you can compare two people like that anyway. They all have their strengths and weaknesses, and we're all human. You see the thing. So I can't say that this person is better than that. I don't think it's fair, and I don't even have the experience of being in that sort of position to be able to judge.
David Bolton, I want to say thank you so much for coming, and I appreciate you, and I thank you so much. We're going to have another time and go deeper into some other areas, the music and your personal life and the people of Otuam and also your chieftaincy and so on and so forth. I mean, you have 2 children, right?
Yes, 2 boys, yeah.
2 boys, biological, right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking more, but that will be another time. If you have any other thing to say in conclusion, please go ahead.
All I say is thank you so much for having me. I mean, I don't think I've had an interview quite so in depth,
Wow.
and it's been interesting. I think I've talked about things that I haven't spoken about before to this level.
This is 3FM.
I just want to encourage everybody out there that yes, we're going through some difficult times right now, but there will always be difficult times. So it's about how you react to those times and understand that everything is in passing.
That's right.
Everything is in passing.
Everything is in passing. And I want to say thank you so much, David, one more time for coming. I do appreciate you. I'm going to end with a song from Aswad. I know you are familiar with this tune. Yeah, you actually worked with Aswad, right?
Yeah, briefly in the late 90s. We had a studio in Hackney in UK, and Aswad were always around that studio, yeah.
What's their biggest song?
Gosh, the